A secret laboratory is conducting research on the genetic modification of dangerous creatures. One day, an employee walks into the quarantine sector and carelessly drops a candy wrapper on the floor. That wrapper ends up disabling one of the security doors. At the same time, the defense system malfunctions and shuts down. Red alarms blare as workers panic and rush to escape. Most of them manage to get out, but one man gets trapped inside the quarantine chamber. His colleague rushes to help and tries to open the door, but through the glass she sees a dinosaur. The man begs her desperately, but she knows opening the door would mean complete disaster. Right before her eyes, the dinosaur devours him.
Recap camp.
Years pass. Dinosaurs multiply, and some of them even end up in zoos. Martin, an employee at a pharmaceutical company, needs dinosaur blood for his work. He seeks out a woman named Zora, a specialist in impossible missions. Martin explains that his company is developing a new drug for heart problems, one that could save millions of lives. But to make it work, they need blood from 3 specific species of dinosaurs, found only near the equator. The journey has to be entirely secret. Zora reminds him that the region is off limits because nobody ever comes back alive. She steps out of the car. Martin follows her and ups the stakes. $10 million for the job. Zora hesitates. That kind of money would solve every problem she's ever had and make her wealthy for life. In the end, she agrees. They then recruit a dinosaur expert, Dr. Henry, who will help identify the exact species they need. The catch is, they must target the largest dinosaurs since their massive hearts provide the most useful blood. One lives in the ocean, one on land, and the third is a flying predator, by far the most dangerous. Martin tells Henry he has to come along. Henry is stunned. He was never supposed to be part of the mission, but Martin insists. Without Henry's expertise, they could easily target the wrong species. Henry has only ever worked in museums. He's never faced anything remotely this dangerous. Yet the chance to see ancient species up close is irresistible, so he reluctantly agrees. They fly to the equator, where they find a captain named Kincaid, an old friend of Zora's who's supposed to guide them. But as soon as he sees the group, Kincaid backs out. No way he's risking his life. Martin is furious. Zora talks to Kincaid, but when persuasion fails, she tells Martin they'll have to double the payment to convince him. Martin realizes this was Zora and Kincaid's plan all along to squeeze more money out of him, but with no time to find another captain, he's forced to accept. Zora also brings in another friend, Bobby, to boost security. They board Kincaid's ship. Among the crew are LeClaire and Nina. The problem is, they need to extract the blood while the dinosaurs are still alive, so no killing allowed. Henry shows them the device he's designed, massive syringes fired from a gun. Once a syringe fills with blood, it ejects, launches into the air, deploys a parachute, and floats down for retrieval. The catch? The gun only has a 10-meter range, meaning they'll have to get dangerously close. Zora is assigned the role of shooter. They sail through the night. By morning, Kincaid picks up a distress call. A boat is sinking 40 kilometers away, its crew pleading for help. He gathers the group and explains they're the only ship nearby. If they don't respond, the crew will certainly die. But helping means backtracking 40 kilometers. Martin refuses because he doesn't want to delay the mission. Zora argues they must help, and Kincaid sides with her. Martin snaps, saying this mission exists because of his money, so they should follow his orders. Kincaid fires back that this is his ship, and no one tells him what to do. He immediately changes course. Half an hour later, they find the survivors, a man named Reuben, his daughters Teresa and Isabella, and Teresa's boyfriend Xavier. Reuben explains a massive creature rammed their boat and capsized it. His description matches the dinosaurs they're after. Soon, Kincaid spots 2 massive creatures on radar heading their way. Martin is thrilled. They've practically found their targets already. Henry warns him number. It's the other way around. They found us. The ship's alarms blare as something slams into the hull. Reuben begs them to drop his family at a safe dock. Martin insists there's a small town ahead powered by geothermal energy, perfectly safe for them. Bobby readies his weapons. Kincaid heads to the upper deck just as a dinosaur bursts from the water and dives. It's bigger than the ship itself, utterly terrifying. Zora rushes to the bow and readies the syringe gun. Henry straps her in so she doesn't get thrown overboard. Kincaid accelerates. Nina climbs the watchtower and calls out the distances. The dinosaur dives again, rocking the ship so hard Zora loses balance and fires by accident. The syringe splashes uselessly into the ocean. Henry quickly hands her another. She reloads, but the creature slams against the hull, sending her dangling over the edge. Henry grabs her and hauls her back just in time. The dinosaur closes in. At less than 10 meters, Zora fires. The syringe strikes true, fills with blood, then ejects upward and parachutes down. Henry retrieves the capsule. Success. For the first time, the crew breathes a sigh of relief. But Teresa peers through a window at the ocean. She spots more of the creatures, the same ones that wrecked their boat. Henry realizes instantly, these aren't the same species. They're something else and far more dangerous. The creatures circle the ship. Bobby opens fire, but one lunges, grabs him in its jaws, and drags him under. The repeated strikes destabilize the ship. Isabella slips across the deck, nearly falling into the sea, but her father grabs her. In the struggle, Reuben injures his leg. Kincaid races the ship toward shallow waters where the creatures can't follow. Zora distributes life vests and shouts warnings. The engines overheat, so Leclerc rushes to fix them. Teresa tries to send an SOS over radio, but Martin stops her. He refuses to let the mission be exposed. Teresa shoves him, but she loses balance and ends up hanging off the side. She cries for Martin's help, but he just stares. He does nothing. Teresa plunges into the water. Xavier sees her fall and immediately dives after her. Reuben straps a vest onto Isabella and himself, then leaps into the sea. A dinosaur rams the ship into rocks, tearing the hull. Kincaid yells for everyone to abandon ship. They all jump into the ocean. Kincaid himself drives the ship full speed into shore, crashing it against the rocks. They all miraculously survive. They drag the supplies that had fallen from the ship toward the shore. Martin warns them that those dinosaurs are amphibious, so they need to get away from the beach immediately. While Nina is pulling equipment out of the water, she's suddenly attacked from behind. Kincaid runs toward her as fast as he can, but it's too late. The dinosaur snatches Nina and carries her off. That's when Martin reveals everything. The island used to be home to a secret laboratory that specialized in genetically modifying dinosaurs. But an accident destroyed the lab and all the dinosaurs escaped into the wild. Zora takes command of the team. She explains that before coming here, she hired an emergency extraction team that if they don't hear back from them, the team will arrive on the second night to rescue them. Meanwhile, Reuben and Isabella manage to find Teresa and Xavier, and luckily, they're unharmed. Together, they enter the island. Reuben discovers pipelines running across the island and decides the best way to reach the small settlement Martin had mentioned is to follow them. After hours of walking, they're forced to stop and camp for the night. The next morning, they continue their journey until they spot something across the river. Teresa, frightened but determined, crosses it. On the other side, she finds a dinosaur sleeping in the bushes. Reuben signals for her to come back quickly, but Teresa notices the creature hasn't seen her yet. She slips into a small shed and finds a pack containing an inflatable raft. She drags it back to the riverbank. Reuben warns her not to pull the handle, but she does anyway, and the raft inflates. The noise wakes the dinosaur. Teresa quickly pushes the raft into the water, and everyone climbs aboard. They paddle with all their strength, but the dinosaur attacks, overturning the raft in one blow. Everyone falls into the river. The strong current drags them downstream until they manage to hide behind some rocks. Isabella, however, is missing. She's trapped beneath the raft. The dinosaur strikes again, ripping the raft apart with its teeth. Reuben thinks Isabella is dead, but suddenly spots her swimming frantically. He grabs her hand just in time and pulls her to safety. The dinosaur can't fit its head between the rocks, and for the moment, they're safe. Meanwhile, the other group presses forward. Martin, walking behind the others while filling his canteen, notices military dog tags floating in the water. When he looks up, he sees a helicopter wrecked between the trees. He finds a gun, takes it, but tells no one. They soon arrive at a vast plain where the second species they need to collect is found. These are the largest dinosaurs on the island, but contrary to expectations, they're not aggressive, they're calm, and even show signs of affection. Zora takes advantage of the opportunity, fires her rifle, and they easily collect the second blood sample. Then, they move on to the next location. The third dinosaur is a flying species that nests in a canyon. Zora and Henry rappel down on ropes to reach the nest. Leclerc joins them, while Kincaid discovers a hidden passage nearby. Henry takes one of the eggs and inserts a syringe into it. Once it's filled, they're ready to leave, just as the dinosaur returns to its nest and spots them. Zora and Henry are trapped. Leclerc distracts the creature, luring it away. He yells at Kincaid to pull the rope up. Kincaid and Martin quickly begin hauling. At that moment, Henry tries to grab the syringe, but the rope coils around his leg, dragging him out of the nest and flinging him away. Zora scrambles to grab the rope in time and holds on. The syringe falls onto the rocks below, landing right where Henry is. Meanwhile, the others watch helplessly as the dinosaur devours Leclerc. Kincaid and Martin flee through the hidden passage Kincaid had found. Henry tries to retrieve the syringe, but the rope snaps. He plummets off the cliff. Luckily, he lands in the river and survives. Later, the others find him, and the third syringe is miraculously intact. Kincaid, however, is devastated. He's lost his entire crew. Their only goal now is to get off the island. That night, they reach the abandoned laboratory. Reuben and his family also make it there, and after searching for a while, the two groups finally reunite. Zora is overjoyed to see them, but Teresa immediately grows furious and demands to know where Martin is. Kincaid asks what's going on, and Teresa explains. Just then, Martin appears holding a gun. He seizes the bag containing the blood samples from Zora and handcuffs it to his wrist to ensure no one can take it. They decide to wait for the rescue helicopter, but suddenly the generators kick on and the power returns. They quickly realize the lab isn't as abandoned as they thought. Dinosaurs find them, forcing everyone to scatter. Reuben and his family hide inside a store, barricading the doors with whatever they can find. Kincaid and Henry manage to slip into the main section of the lab. Through the security system, Kincaid learns that tunnels run beneath the entire island, and at the end of one of them is a lifeboat. Henry, meanwhile, spots the rescue helicopter circling overhead. Kincaid rushes off to inform the others. The helicopter scans the area but can't find them. Henry fires several flares, and the pilot finally sees them and heads their way. Smoke engulfs the area, making the rescue difficult. The helicopter draws closer and everyone thinks salvation is near, until it's the largest creature on the island, the same one that destroyed the lab. Effortlessly, it crushes the helicopter. Martin immediately jumps into a car and speeds toward the shore. It's revealed that he knew about the lifeboat all along. Kincaid leads the others into the tunnels, telling them they must reach the boat before Martin, or they're doomed. The group runs at full speed until they reach the tunnel's end, only to find a heavy iron gate blocking their path. The key is on the outside. They try squeezing through the bars, but only Isabella, being the smallest, manages to slip through. Just then, the dinosaur appears again. Isabella pulls the lever and the gate swings open. At that moment, Martin arrives, drawing the creature's attention. The others seize the chance to escape. The dinosaur grabs Martin with its claws and devours him. The bag falls to the ground and Zora snatches it up. They try lowering the lifeboat, but the hoist is broken. Kincaid lights a flare to distract the dinosaur and lures it into the forest. Zora hacks through the chain with an axe and the lifeboat crashes into the water. With no way out, Kincaid braces himself for death. Reuben starts the engine and speeds the group away. Zora scans the shoreline, praying Kincaid somehow survived. Everyone is devastated by his loss. She still clings to hope when suddenly another flare shoots into the sky. Zora switches on the boat's spotlight, and to their immense relief, they find Kincaid alive. They all escape the island together. In the end, Henry and Zora agree. Instead of hiding the truth and handing the samples over to the single company Martin worked for, they'll make them available to the entire world. That way, the medicine developed from them will be accessible to everyone. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, you know what to do.